Joseph Stalin was a Soviet revolutionary and politician. He ruled the Soviet Union from the mid-1920s until his death in 1953. Initially presiding over an oligarchic one-party system that governed by plurality, he became the de facto dictator of the Soviet state by the 1930s. At the end of the 1920s, he launched a series of 5-year plans that tried to transform the Soviet Union from a peasant society into an industrial superpower. The plan that he had was focused on government control of the economy and included the forced collectivization of Soviet agriculture, in which the government took control of farms. Farmers that refused to cooperate with Stalin's orders were shot or exiled as punishment. The forced collectivization also led to widespread famine across the Soviet Union that killed a lot of people. Stalin ruled by terror and with a totalitarian control in order to eliminate anyone who might oppose him. He expanded the powers of the secret police, encouraging citizens to spy each other, and had millions of people killed or sent to the Gulag system of forced labor camps. During the second half of the 1930s, Stalin instituted the Great Purge, that were campaigns designed to rid the Communist Party, the military, and other parts of the Soviet society from those that he considered a threat. He also built a cult of personality around himself in the Soviet Union. Cities were renamed in his honor. The Soviet history books were rewritten to give him a more important role in the revolution and mythologize other aspects of his life. He was the subject of flattering artwork, literature, and music. Also, his name became part of the Soviet national anthem. In 1939, on the eve of World War II, Stalin and Hitler signed an non-aggression pact. Stalin then proceeded to annex part of Poland, Romania, the Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. He also launched an invasion of Finland. Then, in June of 1941, Germany broke the Nazi-Soviet pact and invaded the USSR. Stalin had now listened to warnings from the American, the British, and his own intelligence agents about a potential invasion that the Soviets were not prepared for. As German troops approached Moscow, Stalin remained there and directed a scorched earth defensive policy, destroying any supplies or infrastructure that might benefit the enemy. The tide turned for the Soviets with the Battle of Stalingrad, from August of 1942 to February of 1943, during which the Red Army defeated the Germans and eventually drove them from Russia. As the war progressed, Stalin participated in the major Allied conferences. He continued with a reign of terror, executions, exiles to labor camps, purges, and persecutions in the post-war USSR. He established communist governments throughout Eastern Europe, and in 1949 he led the Soviets into the nuclear age by exploding an atomic bomb. Stalin, who became paranoid in his later years, died on March 5th in 1953 after suffering a stroke. His body was embalmed and preserved in Lenin's mausoleum in Moscow's Red Square until 1961, when it was removed and buried near the Kremlin walls as part of the de-Stalinization process initiated by Stalin's successor. He was responsible for the deaths of 20 million people during his rule.